Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse, and I am a health coach. I want to welcome you to my podcast, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. This is a weekly show that will share lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health yourself. Why do I want to share this information with you? 7 years ago, after being a business owner for 20 years, I woke up one morning in horrific pain where every bone and every joint in my body hurt. I went to the doctor. She ran lots of tests, and then she ran some more, and then she ran some more, and finally she called me and announced she was going to give me steroids, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me and I should seek therapy. I knew something was wrong. I hurt. So she told me I would be on steroids for the rest of my life, and I refused that I was going to have a life of pain and pills. So why was I going to take steroids if there was nothing wrong with me? So I dug in and started researching, and I turned my business over to my staff. I found a functional doctor who confirmed that I had autoimmune disease. By making a series of significant lifestyle changes that I could do for myself, 5 years later, I had returned to relative health. The best part is that I am now 70, and I feel better now than I did when I was 50. I no longer hurt, which is huge. I will always have autoimmune disease, but losing the pain has been amazing. I went back to school at 67 and became a health coach because I want to share everything that I learned with others. And I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, as the manual I wished that I had had when I got sick, and my book has won 13 awards. So whether you want to future-proof your health and grow old with dignity and grace without dementia and chronic pain and disease, which you don't need to get, or whether or not you already have a chronic condition like autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, and you want to learn about what things you can do to improve your long-term health, or whether you want to improve the health of your families and raise healthy children, because 53% of our children have a chronic condition, I look forward to sharing all this information with you. I will tell you, it truly does feel good to feel good, so let's get started. I look forward to having you join me here every week, and I want to give you hope that if you have chronic pain or chronic disease, you can make changes that will improve your health. And if you don't want to go there, you're going to be fine if you listen to the show and put these things into work. I want to give you information so that you can grow old and have a better tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Welcome to another edition of It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. We've been talking in the last couple of podcasts about depression, and I want to continue on in that subject. Since I posted on Facebook that I was doing this, I've gotten several hundred people ask me when this is going to go live. So there obviously is interest. And it's kind of serendipity. I've gotten 2 emails from functional doctors that I follow who have given me new information about depression. So I want to start this podcast with what I've gotten from them because I think it's very valuable if you're following this series of podcasts because you've had a problem keeping your mood up. Then these are 2 more tips, and then we'll go back to, we were talking about all the vitamins and minerals that you can take that will help your hormones and improve your mood. So we talked last week about one of the leading authorities on depression strongly recommended that you take a niacin supplement. Well, what this email talks about is learning how to breathe properly because the niacin that the body makes, it makes when we breathe through our nose. Isn't that amazing? Now, I have recommended a book that came out, it's probably been a couple of years now, called Breathe. It's a fabulous book. Nesbitt goes back and studies all the hundreds of years of our civilization and how we are not breathing properly anymore and how important it is to breathe properly. I talk a lot about doing the Dr. Andrew Weil breathing exercise where you breathe in, you hold it, and then you whoosh it out through your mouth with your tongue up against the roof of your mouth. That's a great breathing exercise. But what this is recommending, and it's by Patel, who is Dr. Hyman's partner in the health podcast that they do. Here you just learn to breathe through your nose, and then you get into the habit of not breathing with your mouth open, but breathing through your nose, but you need to get deep breaths so that you're opening up your whole lung cavity while you're doing it. And by doing that, you're getting enough nitrogen oxide, which is super important for your body. So, nitrogen oxide is produced by breathing, and your nose stimulates the production of NO, which is a gaseous molecule that dilates our blood vessels. So it has other benefits other than just improving your mood, but it's a good benefit that it dilates your blood vessels, probably helps your heart health. It's a good thing all the way around. And since it's made in the nose, when we breathe through our nose, our sinuses actually are the place that our NO gets created, which travels then directly to our lungs because the NO dilates our blood vessels and it relaxes our trachea and our bronchioles, which allows us to take in more oxygen. So it has all kinds of benefits to learn to breathe through your nose. In addition to our nose, the endothelial cells, which are the cells in the inside of our heart and blood vessels, are another main site of NO production. The NO that's made by our endothelial cells relaxes our blood vessels, enhances circulation, and the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to our tissues. This protects the body. When our endothelial cells produce NO, our arteries relax. This keeps the blood flowing and our blood pressure normal, which prevents blood clots and plaque buildup. Pretty nifty stuff. And as I said, the other benefit of it was discovered by the other doctor who talked about how important it is to raise your mood and to fight depression. Okay? So eat mushrooms because we know you need D3. You need to check your magnesium levels because D3 and magnesium need to be married in adequate quantities in your body. And then that helps depression. And then eat mushrooms. And don't just eat those white things that you can find at the grocery store. Eat all the different varieties of mushrooms. By the way, my favorite are porcini. I love the taste of porcini mushrooms. But I also use shiitake quite a bit when I cook. But all of the mushrooms have their own kind of unique flavor, and they're wonderful to add to your meals. So make sure that you take advantage of that. And if you haven't explored the different varieties of mushrooms, then that should be fun for you because I want you to eat variety. Diversity is important for your body. Okay, so we're going to go on to B vitamins because they will support your mood. The higher intake of B6 and B12 was inversely correlated with depression in 2 studies in older adults. While another study with older adults found that folate and B12 levels predicted the propensity to experience positive emotions. So your B vitamins are important. Now, one thing that I read is that in order for your B6 and your B12 to work properly, you need to take a multi-B. So don't just take B6 and B12. Take a multi-B because they also like to get together and party to create health in your body. So you need the whole family. The B6 and the B12 are key players in methylation, during which amino acid homocysteine is converted to methionine. Therefore, their involvement is important when it comes to mood because elevations in homocysteine will contribute to depression. So this actually keeps that lower. This conversion process sets up a positive cascade in motion during which methionine is used to make SAMe. Now, I take an SAMe supplement, which helps keep me in balance. So you might also talk to your doctor about whether or not that would be right for you. It helps regulate your feel-good neurotransmitters of dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine that we explored earlier. Okay? The methylation process also results in energy production. You're likely to be experiencing fatigue, and that worsens your mood because they seem to be coupled together as well. So steady energy levels lead you to feeling happy and productive throughout the day. This increase in energy can cause a positive feedback loop in which you feel more motivated to exercise, you eat well, you feel happy, and you're motivated to exercise, and other healthy habits that contribute to a sense of overall well-being. An easy way to remember plant-based sources of B vitamins is to think greens and beans. Greens and beans are loaded with B vitamins. So try to incorporate leafy greens and legumes as rich sources of folate with lesser amounts of the other B vitamins. Now, these are the top 10 foods for better mood. Watercress. Watercress is a bitter, super good for your liver and your gallbladder, and it's also really good to elevate your mood. Watercress is also fun to add to salads. It adds just that little bit of tang that makes your salads interesting. I love watercress in my salads. The second one is spinach. Spinach is really important to keep your mood up. Now, spinach starts to lose its phytonutrients within 24 hours of being picked. That's another good reason to go to your farmer's market. That doesn't mean that if you're buying your spinach at the grocery store, you shouldn't eat it because it's still got all kinds of goodies in it. But if you buy it closer to being picked, you get the biggest wallop of all those feel-good phytonutrients that are so good for your body. And I'm writing a class right now on how long vegetables last for you to get the biggest bang for your buck. And the interesting thing about spinach is when you get it home, you wash it, you dry it well, you put it in a plastic bag, you puncture little tiny holes with a needle in the bag, and then you try to eat it within 2 to 3 days to get the biggest wallop of goodies. So that's kind of a fun thing to know about spinach. Mustard, turnip, or beet greens. Beet greens are one of the top 5 foods to give your body nutrients. I just read that. I think that's pretty interesting. We tend to buy the beets and throw the greens away. A couple hundred years ago, they used to not even have the root. They actually cultivated it to have a root. They only ate the greens because they knew how good they felt when they were eating the beet greens. I know my farmer when I go to the farmer's market, so when I'm at the stand where I buy a lot of my vegetables, he'll give me the beet greens for free because nobody wants them, but they are loaded with goodies. And you can cook them just like you're cooking spinach. So, and you hold on to the nutrients the same way. You wash them, you dry them, you put them in a plastic bag, you puncture it with little holes with a needle, and then you eat them within a couple days so that you're getting the biggest bang for your buck by eating them. So that'll save you money, which is a good thing. It gives you nutrition and possibly even for free, but they won't cost you very much either way. Lettuces. The best lettuces to buy are not iceberg lettuce. It has very little nutrition in it. Romaine is better, but not perfect because it's too tight, so it didn't soak up enough of the sunlight. What you need is a head that's open, that was able to suck in all the sunlight, and preferably the ones with color, the red or the brownish red. They're loaded with all kinds of goodies, so when you buy your lettuce, make sure that you're including some of the colored lettuces into your salad to give yourself that extra bang of nutrition. It also will help you with your depression. Swiss chard. again, Swiss chard, if you're buying the rainbow Swiss chard, it's got color in it. And that color is a phytonutrient that's adding all kinds of additional nutrition to you. Um, Fresh herbs, cilantro, basil, and parsley are all mood raisers. Chicory greens. Now, chicory greens are something I'm not as familiar with, but I know they eat a lot of them in the South. And I'm going to actually look for chicory greens because I think it's important that we keep trying all the different variety that's available because we're depriving our bodies of the gifts that those things have. So I'm going to find some chicory greens and cook them so that we have the advantage of that. Pomelos are on the list. Now, I love pomelos. Pomelo is like an oversized grapefruit. It's got a really thick skin, so by the time you get the skin off of it, it's much smaller, but it has great big kernels inside of it, unlike a grapefruit, that actually separate. And I love the flavor and the texture of a pomelo. If you're taking blood pressure medications, make sure that if you're going to eat pomelo, just like if you're going to eat grapefruit, it doesn't react hostilely with some medication that you're taking. But if you can eat grapefruit and pomelos, pomelos are great for raising your mood. And try them, you'll love them. Peppers, bell peppers, serrano peppers, and jalapeno peppers, believe it or not, are all good to raise your mood. And kale or collards are also great to raise your mood. So, and most of these, when they're leafy, you store them the same way. You wash them and you dry them, you put them in the plastic bag, you poke it full of holes, and then you eat it within a couple of days to get the maximum stuff. This is based on an algorithm of nutrients known to impact mood, and they're all loaded with folate, iron, long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, both EPA and DHA, magnesium, potassium, selenium, thiamine, vitamin A, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, vitamin C, and zinc. So we'll post this top 10 food list right above me when we produce this before you get to listen to it, so you should be looking at it right now. Okay, other mood boosting foods. To get zinc, I want you to eat oysters, kale, broccoli, legumes, and nuts. To get magnesium, I want you to eat wild fish, avocado, and leafy dark greens. Vitamin B, I want you to eat asparagus, leafy greens, red meat, grass-fed, grass-finished, or wild, or lamb. You don't want to eat the factory farm stuff because it doesn't have any of the goodies in it. And they've been abused, those poor animals, and they've been fed GMO feed. So make sure that you're getting the quality meats, and then if that's more expensive, which it will be, that you eat less, but that you eat about the size of the palm of your hand. Avocado is loaded with vitamin B. It's also loaded with omega-9 oils, which are super good for your body. You should be eating half an avocado every day, which will raise your mood and also give you a nice omega-9 oil that's super good to keep the cell lining of all your cells nice and supple and to keep your brain nice and supple because every cell in your body needs omega-3 or omega-9 fatty acids. For omega-3s, wild-caught salmon is the best source, but sardines are also good if you like sardines. And for probiotic-rich foods, eat kefir, yogurt, and other fermented foods. You can ferment your own. It's not hard to do, so take a look it up on Google, and when you buy red cabbage or you buy foods that you sometimes enjoy eating fermented, then you can make your own and add them to your salads and to your diet, which are really good for you. So for your B vitamins, eat quality protein. Food quality matters, whether it's food or it's supplements or whatever it is. Make sure that you get the quality stuff, and if you have to find other places in your budget to cut back in order to do it, you're worth it, so do that. You want to eat meat that has eaten his own species-specific diet. So cows have two stomachs. They need to eat grass. That's how they're built. And that's why grass-fed, grass-finished cows are so important. Increase the other foods that are high in vitamin B, which will then help you metabolize and reduce cortisol. And cortisol is your stress hormone. So in this case, you want to eat beef, chicken, eggs, vitamin B fortified cereal. Don't eat the cereal, the B fortified cereal. I'm sorry, I left that on the list. You don't want to eat fortified cereal because your body can't use those synthetic vitamins. Get them from real food. And then ideally you want to eat organ meat. Now there's one functional doctor named Dr. Wall, W-A-H-L, who actually significantly reversed her MS by including a larger amount of organ meats in her daily diet. I interviewed somebody on this show that actually had multiple autoimmune syndrome, and by following Dr. Wall's diet, she not only reversed several different autoimmune diseases, but she had gotten cancer, which what made her in desperation go searching for a better way, and she discovered the Wall protocol and followed it. And today she's cancer-free, and she is probably still has autoimmune disease because I don't have the pain from it, but I still have it. But she doesn't have any of the symptoms or the side effects of autoimmune disease. So organ meats are really good for you, but again, they're organ meats. And so they are processing all the toxins that the animal is eating. So that's another good reason to eat food that's grass-fed, grass-finished, which is lamb or beef, that's pastured, because then you're getting clean organs to eat the organ meat from. Liver is incredibly good for your liver, interestingly enough, and it's good for the rest of your body as well. Other foods high in omega-3 fatty acids: olive oil, oysters, chia and flax seeds, and then walnuts. We talked about walnuts last time because that was my tip that had come into my email box last time. And so make sure that you're eating lots of nuts. And then the first doctor that I read his book wanted you to eat cashew nuts because they're really loaded with good things as well, and then pumpkin seeds. So pumpkin seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, cashew nuts, and then oysters, olive oil, wild-caught fish, and avocados. All super good to get your omega-3 fatty acids. Foods that are high in magnesium: avocados, bananas, broccoli, dark chocolate, pumpkin seeds, and spinach. I don't think anybody's going to complain that I want you to have one piece of dark chocolate every day, which will help your mood go up and you'll start feeling happier. Increase your vitamin D. We've talked about all the different ways that you can do that. And then if there's one supplement, I would like you to check with your doctor if you can take it, and there is a downside, which we'll talk about. I want you to start taking curcumin. I take curcumin every morning, and I take curcumin every night. Curcumin is the active ingredient in turmeric, and the only people who might have an interaction with it are people who are taking blood thinners, because curcumin can also thin your blood. So don't just go buying curcumin without running it past your doctor to make sure that he approves that you're going to take that supplement. But I use it as a painkiller. I use it to keep my mood steady. I use it to help me keep my inflammation down. I ate some basil on my anniversary last week, and I am blown up like a balloon because my body was sensitive to the basil and it reacted to the basil. So I am taking extra curcumin right now to bring my body back to balance. But curcumin is great because it has all kinds of benefits in the body. It's good for you, it's good for your kidneys, it's good for your digestion, it's good for your lower intestine, it's good for your liver. Curcumin is good, and best of all is that it lowers inflammation. I want you to eat the rainbow. This is just another good reason for you to eat all the colors of all those vegetables and to get all that diversity into you. And you'll remember my whole phrase is I want you to eat the rainbow from a farm as close to you as possible. I want you to eat it organic or at least grown without all the herbicides and pesticides, because they will balance out your hormones as well. And in my studying for my course that I'm putting together, I just learned that one of the reasons we're not getting enough minerals is because all those pesticides and herbicides are cleating all of the good minerals out of our soil. So when our plants are growing, they're not getting all those beautiful minerals, so our bodies aren't getting them when we eat the plants. So that's just another reason to eat organic. So it's worth it, and you're worth it. And you'll feel better if you start eating organic, because there is more nutrition in organic plants than there is in factory farm plants. Now, factory farming will tell you that's not true, but there have been a couple studies that have come out of major universities lately, one of them being UC Berkeley, that show that there is a significant increase in phytonutrients if you're buying and eating organic produce. Red, green, orange, and yellow foods have proven to be especially impactful because of the wide array of nutrients that will impact your mood. Notably, vitamin C, carotenoids, and B vitamins are very beneficial, and if you can get them from natural food sources, even better. The necessary nutrients to support mood. Okay. The nutrients in your food will actually provide building blocks necessary for a healthy brain and for neurotransmitter processes. To build a practical guide for eating for mental health, we have to start looking at the nutrients most associated with reducing the risk of depression and anxiety based on dietary intake rather than supplements. If you can get it from real food, then that's even better, because then you're getting it with all the gifts of the phytonutrients. And there's something that happens when all the colors get together in your body, because there's the synergy that then works to make your body feel great. While inadequate levels of these nutrients individually have been associated with an increased risk of anxiety and depression, having a micronutrient deficiency of 4 or more nutrients then increases the risk of depression. While adequate levels of these nutrients is key for preventing and mitigating depression on their own, certain foods have a significant impact as well. So these are the foods that you want to make sure that you are including in your diet on a weekly or daily basis. Cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, organ meats, we just talked about that, peppers, and seafood, okay? So every week, every couple of days, I want you getting those into your diet, because you will start to feel your mood raise. I can go through what all of those things have. I don't think you need to know this, but they're loaded with all the things that are good for you, both minerals and vitamins that will raise your mood. Now, the one other category to consider is to make sure you're eating blue and purple foods. There's a statistic like 96% of Americans are not eating enough of the blue and the purple family. I love the blue and the purple family. Not only do they give me pleasure to look at them, but I know how many great things are in them. It's one of the reasons why red wine has been touted as being good for your health. It's the anthocyane that's in that color. And whenever you have a choice to buy the purple variety of a vegetable, I want you to include it in what you buy. As an example, if you're buying carrots and you're buying orange, I want you to also buy some of the purple if they're available, because you're going to get different gifts from the purple that are really good from your body. If you're buying cabbage, I want you to buy some purple cabbage, because it has different gifts for you than the green cabbage. If you're buying onions, I want you to buy the purple onions, because it has some of the same phytonutrients in it that are so good for you. And so purple, the lettuce, you want to buy the purple tinged lettuce, because it's got gifts that the green lettuces do not have. The blue-purple foods, like grapes, which is what wine is made out of, can be helpful for the brain, both cognition and mood. Now remember, grapes are a dirty crop. So you want to be buying your grapes organic, because you don't want all those pesticides and herbicides, which are poison, in your body. So even when you're buying red wine, look for organic red wine. The difference in price is worth it because of the damage that it's not doing for your body. And we've talked about the fact that one of the reasons I think our healthcare system is in trouble in this country is because we are eating tons of toxins in all aspects of our food, and then we're surrounded with environmental toxins from our air, from our cleaning supplies, from what we're washing our clothes in, all that stuff. All those toxins have to go through the liver, and the liver can only keep up so long. So the blue purple is really good for you, but if you're getting it from grapes, make sure that you're getting organic grapes because they are loaded with bad stuff. Researchers have analyzed grape-derived compounds have developed as therapeutic agents for the treatment of depression. Now, that doesn't mean you go buy 12 bottles of red wine and you drink them. But if you could eat the grapes themselves, and you have to eat the skin, that's where all the goodies are, eat the purple grapes. And believe it or not, the most nutritious of all the grapes are Concord grapes. Remember all that Concord grape juice that we drank as children that they added all that sugar to and probably was god awful for us? Well, if you can find real Concord grapes at your farmer's market or your grocery store, buy them because they're super good for your cognition and for your mood. Studies indicate that these natural compounds alleviate depression by targeting newly discovered underlying mechanisms of the disease. And there are also many herbs that can help you, like herbal teas, herbal supplements. Chamomile is good for depression. Lavender, lemon balm, ashwagandha, which is an Indian adaptogen, catnip, your cat will be happy, and valerian. They're all good to raise your mood. Valerian will also help you sleep, as will chamomile, as will lavender. So if you're having a problem sleeping, these herbs will help you sleep and raise your mood at the same time. If you'd like to learn more about neurotransmitters and depression, then there's an article that you could Google called Ease Depression and Anxiety Now. So these are the hormones that you want to keep at adequate levels in your brain and your body. Dopamine. It's closely related to the hormone noradrenaline or norepinephrine. Dopamine is considered one of the strongest feel-good hormones that your body makes because it impacts the neurotransmitters and makes you feel energized, motivated, and under control. Dopamine and noradrenaline was associated with pleasure, motivation, alertness, concentration, and alertness. Sounds like it's a pretty good thing. They're raised by sources of stress, but it doesn't always mean bad stress. You want positive stress, states like sex, being in love, during exercise, or doing fun things like dancing, laughing, and listening to music. All of those are good stressors that raise your dopamine. That will lower your depression, improve your lack of concentration, which is brain fog. It will improve your motivation and your difficulty initiating or completing tasks. So dopamine is important. Next one up is serotonin. We've talked a lot about serotonin in my podcast. That's what's made in the lining of your gut, and that is your number one feel-good hormone, often called the happy hormone, because it improves your mood and beats depression. We need healthy levels of serotonin for mood stabilization, to get a good night's sleep, for dreaming, and for visualization. It also influences many psychological functions that you probably wouldn't expect, like blood pressure, digestion, and regulation of body temperature. Adequate levels of serotonin provide emotional and social stability, while low levels of serotonin are associated with mental disturbances, including depression, anxiety, PMS, sugar carbohydrate cravings, trouble sleeping, obsessive thinking, and addiction to alcohol and drugs. Now, I'm just going to remind you, get off the sugar already, because sugar actually sends a signal to your brain, that mutes all your feel-good hormones. So you get a big burst of energy from the sugar, but then your blood sugar level drops, which is the cycle that then makes you crave more sugar so that you're constantly feeding your brain to turn off your feel-good hormones. Not a good thing. So you've got to break your addiction to sugar and break your addiction to the other synthetic chemicals that are in processed food. Those unto itself will do wonders to raise your mood levels. Okay, the next one up is GABA. GABA relaxes you and calms you after experiencing stress because it has a dampening effect on the central nervous system. It is the hormone that calms anxiety. Now, when I first got sick, I had what my mother had, which was worry syndrome. I worried about everything. I worried all the time. I knew that worry wasn't going to do anything for me, but I worried anyway. And it ends up I had a chemical imbalance. I took a special supplement from Metagenics. I took it for 6 months. It was recommended by my functional doctor. If anybody wants to know what that was, you have to go through a doctor in order to get it, but I can get you the name and you can go through your doctor and she can order it for you. But that relaxed my anxiety and my worry mechanism unbelievably, and I don't worry anymore. Isn't that amazing? It was a chemical problem that got corrected by taking the right supplement, and it probably did something to bring my GABA back into balance. GABA is useful for staying optimistic and for seeing the big picture when you're stressed. Dopamine is what rewards specific behaviors in us so that we want to do them again. And it can be the reason that certain drugs become addictive. It's the reason that sugar becomes addictive. It's the reason that cocaine becomes addictive and heroin becomes addicted, because dopamine gives you a super reward that you want to keep feeding, which makes their use highly desirable until you experience that crash I just talked about with sugar that comes once the illicit drug is absent from your body. So sugar does it, drugs do it. I understand that sugar lights up your brain like a pinball machine, just like opiates do. So you don't need that stuff. You can get away from it. And once you break the addiction, you have food freedom, and it's much easier for you to eat healthy food because you get your taste buds back. Your taste buds get excited to eat all those real vegetables you're buying from the farm close to you, and you want to eat them, which means your body starts requesting the good stuff instead of craving and demanding the stuff that your body was eating that was an addiction. The next thing up is if you're depressed, you got to exercise. You've got to move because it will elevate your dopamine receptors in the brain, and it increases your serotonin and your endorphins in the body as well. Regular exercise prevents depression, reduces stress, strengthens the mind, just as much as it's strengthening the body. Exercise will release the stress that is so harmful to your body. Every single organ in your body is impacted by stress. So if you're stressed, you've got to move. So find a way that you like that you can get out there and do that exercise because it's so good for you. And by doing it, you will feel your moods go up almost immediately after exercising. The brain dumps a little dopamine every time we accomplish a task. So make a list and cross off the things that you accomplish. That's easy enough to do because then you get a little zip of dopamine, which will go into your body and raise your mood just like a little hit, your dopamine hit. So break up your big tasks into smaller pieces and check them off one by one because each time you accomplish one of them, you get a little dopamine hit. I think that's pretty terrific. This habit also tends to keep you moving towards your goals and clearing your mental clutter in your mind. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a bricklayer. when I'm working on a project, I lay bricks, which means I do things in a certain order for a certain reason. And so that I have a very organized head, even though my physical space is not always that organized. But what I do to keep myself on task is I make a list. And I love to take things off the list. Sometimes I put little things on the list just so I can cross them off. I had no idea that I was getting a dopamine reward every time I cross something off that list. So that's a pretty nifty thing to know that you can do. The principles of self-management state that if a task represents a change of 25% or more in your life routine, you're going to be disinclined to finish it. But if you break it into little pieces, you won't self-sabotage yourself or give up. So making small changes keeps you going in the right direction and increases your pleasure because you keep getting those little drug hits from the dopamine. That's a good drug hit. The cocaine, the heroin, the sugar, those are bad hits. Dopamine increasing foods are many of the same foods that we just went over. Eggs, pastured eggs. You want good, clean eggs from chickens who ate their natural species-specific diet, which is grasses and berries and bugs. They're good for you. Green tea, milk, watermelon. I just read that if you buy a watermelon, leave it on the counter for a little while, a couple of days, because its goodies increase while it sits on your counter. Unlike some of your other things, which you need, like corn, you're supposed to shuck it on the way in the door and put it right into the pan so that it doesn't all turn to starch. And that way you get the biggest bang for the nutrients that are in the corn and the most delicious taste of the corn. But watermelon, you're supposed to buy it, leave it on your counter for a couple of days, and then carve into it. And whenever you have a choice of any vegetable, buy the ones with the seeds, because by removing the seeds, they have done some things that have lowered its phytonutrients. Okay, let's get back to the dopamine list. So we've talked eggs, green tea, milk, watermelon, coffee. It's a dirty crop. Make sure it's organic. Make sure it's organic and that it's from a company that's not hurting birds when they're harvesting it. Almonds, bananas, dark chocolate, and yogurt. Pretty nifty list. Okay, listen to uplifting music because that will raise your mood. One of the easiest and quickest ways to get that beneficial dopamine hit is from listening to music. Music is so good for us, and it does raise our moods, and it brings back happy memories or allows us to process things that are bothering us that we might have considered a trauma. By listening to the music and remembering the situation, we can process it and let it go. Music has been helping people feel uplifted since Paleolithic times. It's that tried and true. Get creative. Now, creativity, I get mostly creative when I can get quiet and then go into myself and just be at peace. That's when I get my creative thoughts. I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to create jewelry. I had my own jewelry company that I then manufactured in Asia. I was my most creative with designing new jewelry when I was quiet and could just go and get quiet into myself. Well, by being creative, you're also satisfying something in yourself that gives you that big dopamine hit that makes you feel fantastic. So it doesn't matter if you're doing it with arts and crafts, if you're writing an entire symphony, any creative activity at all will increase your levels of dopamine. Dance, take a figure drawing class, write a poem, cook. Cook something new, cook with a new food, or even attack your auto repair project with creative gusto. That's probably not going to be me, but it would be my husband. You'll be rewarded with a higher dopamine level, and those dopamine levels are good for your mood and good to lower your depression. Start a positive streak. Not only will this behavior increase your dopamine levels, but it also happens to be a foundation for creating new and positive habits. See how many times you can do one new thing, like recycling your plastic or giving up soda and never drinking it again. Mark it down on a calendar with a tear sheet. See how long you can make that winning streak last. Every time you check mark on your calendar that you've made it through another day of a winning streak. Bam! You get a dopamine hit. Pretty nifty. Dopamine can also be raised with supplementation. L-theanine increases neurotransmitters in the brain. Green tea is the best source for that compound. Curcumin, which is the active ingredient from turmeric that I love so much, increases dopamine in the brain. No wonder I'm so happy. I take a lot of curcumin. Ginkgo biloba can raise your dopamine levels. And acetyltriosine is a building block of dopamine, so a healthy dose of it supports the production of dopamine in the brain. Meditation and yoga increase your dopamine dumps. Again, it's the process of getting quiet and becoming one with the universe. Now, I used to say I can't meditate. My mind is too busy. And I have people say that to me all the time. Guess what? It doesn't matter. It's the getting quiet, and you get better at it over time. And if you have a busy mind, you just keep going with it until it quiets down. If you have to, grab a notebook, do a brain dump, and then get quiet and do your meditation. But spending some time in meditation will also give you that big dopamine dump that's good for your brain. It also increases GABA, so you get both GABA and dopamine from meditation and yoga. Yoga is a lovely way to exercise. If you haven't tried it, I recommend it. Okay, how to boost serotonin. Understand the serotonin food myth. Unfortunately, there's a lot of myths surrounding serotonin, which includes foods rich in tryptophan automatically boost serotonin. That is not true. Most foods contain tryptophan, an amino acid, complete with the other amino acids. So eating a lot of turkey, which is very rich in tryptophan, will not automatically give you more serotonin. Eating a lot of banana will automatically boost your serotonin. They do contain serotonin, however, it's unable to cross the blood-brain barrier, and therefore your body is not getting it where it needs to get it. Shun the simple carbs and embrace the complex carbs instead. What is a simple carb? Simple carb is sugar. Simple carbs are white flours. Complex carbohydrates are all the rainbow colors of your fruits and vegetables. Those are complex carbohydrates that you need. And there's starchy vegetables and legumes. Whole grain breads, whole grain pastas, brown rice, and starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes and parsnips. So stay away from pasta. I didn't mention pasta. White bread, white rice, white pasta, and cakes, candies, and other refined sugar products. Avoid energy drinks if you're having a problem with your mood. It's just going to exasperate the issue. Eat healthy fats. We've talked about the importance of eating omega-3 fats. Your body needs them to stay alive. So try to you're getting tons of omega-6s in your processed food and fast food. So you want to get your ratio of omega-6s more equal with your ratio of omega-3. So I only cook with omega-3s. I only use omega-3s when I'm making salad dressings. They're super good for you. What are your omega-3s? It's my ghee, which is clarified butter. It's olive oil, but it's real olive oil from California. Don't go buying that stuff that the mafia is mucking around with. It's grapeseed oil. It's avocado oil. That's one reason I want you to eat a half an avocado every day, because that boosts your omega-3 and your omega-9s, which are joined together in health. It's all your good fatty freshwater fishes, and it's your nuts, seeds, and sea oils. And I can't have it, but if you can eat them, eat flax seeds because they're super good for you. You can also boost your serotonin by exercising regularly, by getting enough light. Remember, I want you to get outside for 15 minutes in the morning. Investing in a massage. Massage therapy will cut down your stress hormone cortisol, which will boost your serotonin levels and increase your dopamine. And understand that your stress level, everybody has stress, but if you have too much stress, it interferes with your serotonin, which means it's interfering with your mood. So the exercise will improve that, your yoga will improve that, your breathing will improve that. Using the belly button wand, which I talk about, will lower your stress. What you need to do is reset your parasympathetic nervous system. I stop twice a day. I stop about 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon to breathe, to do the Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breathing exercise. Look it up on YouTube and start to do it. Or I use the belly button wand, which can exercise every organ in my body. Remember, we were born through our belly button, so there's a huge web of circulation that comes out of your belly button that then goes up and sends a signal through your vagus nerve up to your brain and releases your stress. Relive happy memories. Although it might sound corny, reliving happy memories might be just enough to give your brain that serotonin boost it needs to raise your mood. This may directly increase your serotonin, and it will help you to not fixate on less healthy times. I also am a huge believer in practicing gratitude every morning so that you start off your day on a positive note. And I've added a new level to my gratitude process. I am grateful for what I have right now at this moment in time, because now is all that really exists. But then I also practice gratitude for what I'm trying to manifest. I thank the universe for creating it in my life as if it's already happened, because that's helping me manifest it to come true. And then the last two hormones I'm going to go through real quickly because I'm at my time limit. Oxytocin, which we have, and both sexes have it, and if we have low levels, that's linked to depression and anxiety. And there are ways that you can boost your production of it. Hugs are important. Shaking hands, breastfeeding, all releases oxytocin. Physical contact, whether it's between lovers, friends, or children and their parents, all raises your oxytocin. Your essential oils are important. That's where your lavender oil would come in, your clary, your sage oils. They all balance your hormones and encourage production of the love hormone, which is oxytocin. Making eye contact with people when you're talking with them raises your oxytocin. Laughing. Laugh. Every day you should laugh. If you don't have somebody to laugh with, go into the bathroom and laugh with yourself, because it's impossible to hear laughter and not feel your mood go up. Giving and receiving gifts, including money, raises your love hormone, your oxytocin. Altruistic behaviors such as cooking for others or sharing meals together raises your oxytocin. Petting a dog, a cat, or another pet raises your oxytocin. It also releases stress. So it's good for your little furry baby, and it's good for you. Doing loving kindness meditations or visualization and practicing random acts of kindness raises your oxytocin. Listening to calming music raises your oxytocin. Telling somebody that you love him or her, whether it's your spouse, your child, your parent, or your best friend, just by telling them how much you love them, you raise your oxytocin. Speaking to someone that you trust on the phone, walking or exercising with someone and sharing, looking at photos or videos of people that you care about, including via social media. All those things raise your oxytocin. And then the last hormone that I want to talk about is insulin. Here's what too much insulin really does to your body and your health. And why do you produce too much insulin? Because you're eating too much sugar. So cut that out already. So try as you may, as long as your insulin levels are high, you are going to fight a losing battle for weight loss. It acts on your brain to increase your appetite and specifically hooks you to eating more sugar. It increases your LDL cholesterol. It lowers your HDL cholesterol. It is the direct cause for the triglyceride numbers that you're getting from your doctor, and it increases your blood pressure. Insulin resistance causes 50% of reported cases of high blood pressure. It stimulates the growth of cancer cells. Cancer loves sugar, and they love sugar because they gobble up insulin, so stop it. It increases inflammation and oxidative stress and ages your brain. It acts on your brain to increase appetite, and then you keep eating more sugar. It causes sex hormone problems and leads to infertility, hair growth where you don't want it, hair loss when you don't want to lose it, acne and low testosterone in men and more. It also leads to mood disturbances, which is why I'm sharing this with you. Balancing your blood sugar. If you ever have gone through blood sugar issues, and I'm diabetic, so trust me, I get it. I was very hypoglycemic in my 20s, and now I have diabetes, although I am almost to diabetes under control. But if you're having mood fluctuations, you could take somebody's head off when you're down, and you certainly will feel your moods get high and feel your moods get low. So keeping your insulin at the correct level is the important goal when you have problems with your blood sugar and your insulin. My goal is to make your metabolism more efficient, to make your cells more intelligent and cooperative, and not so resistant. In other words, if you follow all of my advice in these podcasts, you will need much less insulin to complete a task of balancing your blood sugar. While I want to tell you how to balance your stress hormones, thyroid function, and all your sex hormones, and your brain and your mood chemicals, that might take some more work. But start with eating the rainbow, because that's the very best place to start. And then adopt something to keep your stress under control. And then laugh and do things that make you feel happy. And then finally, you can sniff your way back to feeling happy. I think this is a hoot. Aromatherapy is a valuable ally when it comes to brightening your day and fighting seasonal depression. A diffuser with the right essential oils will not only boost your mood, but improve your sleep quality and reduce anxiety. Bergamot and sweet orange fight stress and anxiety. Lavender will relax and decrease your stress, anxiety, and depression, and it will improve your sleep. I take a bath almost every night with argan oil, Epsom salts, which is magnesium, and lavender, which means that when I hit the pillow, bam, I'm out. Rosemary, rose, and wild ginger directly alleviate depression. Ylang ylang benefits your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your breathing. Grapefruit alleviates your mental exhaustion and fatigue. And rhodiola releases stress, lifts depression, improves your attitude. And if I get up and I have brain fog, I take rhodiola because it gives me energy. It's another adaptive that comes from India. It enhances levels of key brain chemicals that are all your feel-good hormones, your epinephrine, your serotonin, and your dopamine. Research shows that it supports your heart and your cardiac rhythms. So it gives you energy, it raises all your feel-good hormones and makes you feel fantastic. And that's rhodiola, which I buy on Amazon from Herb Farm, and that's P-H-A-R-M, not F-A-R-M. So rhodiola is your last secret weapon for your depression. So there's been a whole lot of stuff in these podcasts for you to adopt to raise your mood. So what I would recommend is you go back to the first podcast and then you jot down like a small outline of what would help you if you were to adopt it to improve your mood. Do this whether you're seeking therapy or seeing a psychiatrist and taking a depression drug or not. Do all of these lifestyle changes because they're not only good for your mood, they're great for your body. And what these podcasts are all about is finding ways to improve your future health. The decisions that you make today are going to impact what your health looks like tomorrow. So adopt all these things. I wish I had adopted them before I went over the toxic load wall into leaky gut and autoimmune disease. But I did adopt them 10 years ago, and I feel better today at 73 than I did in my 50s. If I can do it in my 60s and my 70s, for God's sakes, however old you are, you can do it. These are lifestyle habits that will improve your health. You don't want to go to a place where you have disease. You don't want to go to a place where you have enormous pain. You don't want to go to a place where you're getting chemotherapy and all kinds of invasive things done to your body. You want to do it with lifestyle because that's what's going to last and give your body all the tools it needs to build the brick house and be healthy instead of the straw house or the stick house. Okay? Tons of great information in this, not only for raising your mood and quelling your depression, but giving you lifelong skills to be healthy in your future. And by the time you're 73, you'll realize how important it was that you made all these changes. So thank you for listening to me. I'll be back again soon. I think the next thing we're going to talk about is toxic relationship, and then I'm going to go into a series on the gut, because the gut, as goes the gut, goes the body. It's where your gut reactions come from. It's your solar plexus in the chakra. We talked about all the different areas in the chakras, and it is the place where disease begins. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on the gut. But the next one's going to be on toxic relationships, because by eliminating those, you eliminate a big source of your stress. And so I want you to pay attention to that. And you can control it. No matter who's in your life that's causing you a toxic relationship, there are things you can do to improve it or cut them loose. Okay? So thanks for joining me. I'll see you again soon. I enjoy doing these with you. I hope you're learning a lot as I'm finding all the puzzle pieces for my own health. Thank you. Hello. Could I see a show of hands if there's anybody out there like me who's tried to lose weight their whole life and not been successful? So you've tried all the different diets available. You've tried Weight Watcher. You've tried Jenny Craig. You've tried all the New York Times bestsellers. And the last time you did it, you started off great, just like all the other times. And you started losing weight, and then all of a sudden you fell off the horse. And before you know it, you're eating fast food and processed food again with all that sugar, and you don't even know why. And in the end, you've gained more weight than where you started out. So you now are beating yourself up that you just don't have the willpower to win. If that's you, I want to address the elephant in the room, because 9 years ago, I got autoimmune disease and started researching because I didn't want the pain that came with the autoimmune disease, and the added benefit was I lost the weight along the way. So let me tell you what happens. Big Food doesn't want you to win. They've rigged the system. They've put so many chemicals into fast food and processed food that they light up the brain like a pinball machine. It's the same part of the brain that goes off for cocaine and heroin, and you feel great when you eat that food, but it's not making you feel good, and you're starving your body for nutrition because it's loaded with empty calories, so you're getting fat eating that food, and it's not giving your body what you need. And it's turning off all your own feel-good hormones of serotonin and dopamine, and even your insulin, which keeps your moods even. But worse than that, there's two little hormones here at the back of your neck called ghrelin and leptin, and they don't work, and they regulate your appetite because all those chemicals have subdued them, so you don't even know when you're full. So what did I learn to do instead? I'm eating the GLAD diet, loaded with all the phytonutrients that my body needs to be healthy and to thrive and to boost my immune system and to ditch the pain. And along the way of eating all this live food, I lost 60 pounds without dieting. You see, I was starving my body for nutrition when I was eating the standard American diet, and now that I'm giving my body all those beautiful phytonutrients, it's not holding on to it anymore, so it's just dropping it automatically. So don't eat the standard American diet. I don't want you to get a standard American disease, and I certainly don't want you to die the standard American death. Instead, start eating the GLAD diet, because by eating all those beautiful phytonutrients, you will be healthier and you will live long and thrive. Thank you.